Today I'm here with my sister, and she is the queen of blending eyeshadows, right? So that's still my opportunity here, and she's gonna just talk about little simple tips and tricks for you to blend on your everyday life, right? So nothing super extravagant, but something simple that you can like, oh, I understand what they're talking about blending. Hi. Alright, so she's gonna do my eyeshadow and then just show different techniques and what brushes she uses to blend the eyeshadow so it just looks nice and natural, not overdone, etc. So if you have
We're talking about eyeshadow and blending. The most important thing is what you put on your base for your eye. Without a smooth base, there's nothing you're going to do that's going to make that blend look as nice as it should. And a lot of times people struggle with that very thing. So I always recommend either, this is an oldie but goodie, MAC Paint Pot, or you can do Too Faced Eyeshadow Insurance. Anastasia has a great primer as well. A lot of people tend to use concealer, but the thing about concealers is some concealers can be a little oily or tend to feel oily, which can make your makeup crease here on the end sometimes if you don't set it right. And it also can sometimes, if you don't wait for it to kind of set a little bit, when you put your eyeshadow down, it can deposit a lot of shadow on that one spot that you put in, and then that kind of makes it harder to blend out. So base is always the most important thing whenever you're doing your eyeshadow look. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use eyeshadow insurance. Kind of makes the color pop out really nice. So it only takes a little bit. You don't need much. Just that little bit.
This is like getting my hair done. If I foaming my skin is.
I'm using ColourPop Nothing palette, but
she's excited about receiving this palette.
It's the look that I have on my eye today, if you want to see. I'm putting in a transition color, which is kind of a color that I kind of put down so that all the other colors when you put on blend. Some people skip this part, and you can do if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna put dark colors. Sometimes you don't really need it, and for some people can look chalky, but I prefer it because it just makes blending a lot easier. So you want to start off with kind of a lightish color. So I'm going to go on with this color right here, which is kind of a pinky close to her skin tone, but a little bit darker color, okay? And I'm going to use a nice little dome brush, and the rule of thumb is as you're putting your eyeshadow in, the darker the color, like let's say you put black on your corner here, the smaller the brush. So, and you want to take into account the real estate that you have in your eye. If you have really small space, you're not going to start off with a really big brush. You might want to start off with something. If you have a smaller eye space, you can start off with a smaller brush, kind of like that. But I'm going to start with this one,
because I got big eyes.
Okay, so when you're putting on your eye, you kind of want to take in consideration where you want that eyeshadow to be blended up to. You don't want to start up here because then you have nowhere to blend. It's going to go into the eyeshadow. So you want to start a little lower than what you're aiming for, so then you can blend up towards the area that you want that eyeshadow to end. And a lot of people tend to just put it exactly where they want it, and then when they blend it out, they end up with eyeshadow way up in their brow.
Good tip.
Alright, so you can see that's just a little small deposit of color. And that's just going to help the other colors that we put on when we blend it. And it also is a good thing for when you put on a color, if you if you go overboard and you put a color that's too dark and you want to kind of bring it down, you can take the same transition color over that dark color that you place and it'll blend it down, So it's a good way to save your eyeshadow look if you kind of go overboard with one of your colors. Next up brush, I'm going to use this brush. This is what it looks forward. This is kind of the profile of what it looks like. I don't really recommend like specific brush companies because I feel like if you find the right brush shape and material, whether it's natural, synthetic, to me it doesn't matter. Expensive or cheap, you can make it work. So for here with this brush, I tend to kind of just use this corner as kind of a base and then kind of go this way so I can kind of create the shape that I want, and this brush kind of does that and sort of blends it out at the same time. So I like to create that little V.
I call it a 7 or backward 7.
Oh, do you?
But yeah, it's a V, right? I don't know. Interesting.
Alright. And again, you can kind of do this with any look. You just want to start off building your colors slowly. You don't want to put a lot. You want to tap out your brush whenever you put eyeshadow on it, and then just start lightly. It's easier to build up than to take away. So just start off lightly and slowly build up that color how you want it. And that's kind of how I want that with her right there. See that? And you can also, if you wanted to do a more precision, you can kind of use a pencil brush. This is called a pencil brush. And they come in different sizes. I have really thin pencil brush. And that just kind of gives you precision when you're putting eyeshadow. And it really is kind of based on how much space you have in your eye to work with.
Very clean.
All right,
so you use that one for the V again?
to darken up that V, because I already placed the color, and I'm just
Okay.
going to darken that up just a little.
If you have questions, go ahead and comment. You can.
Alright, so when I'm doing eyeshadow, especially for my eyes are very deep set and small. I tend to do a really light color on the inner and kind of build out, just because it kind of elongates my eye and opens up that deep part of my eye. So I'm going to demonstrate that with her here as well. And if you're using this, I'm using this color right here for that.
If you know anyone that can benefit from this little...
Alright, there goes that. And that kind of seems stark right now, but we're going to blend that all out.
Okay. Este sábado.
Alright. And you can see how that kind of like blends into this color right here. And again, if I needed to go back in to that color here on the V, I can, and just darken that up if I want to. And then the most important thing that you want to have, okay, so one of the most important tools you're going to have is a nice fluffy dome brush, and you want them to be a clean one so that you can go ahead and kind of blend those colors. You know, this is Echo 2's, this is Morphe. Both of them work equally as well for me. So here's just a close-up of what those brushes kind of look like. Nice little fluffy brush. Okay. And then you kind of just use that to kind of windshield wiper the color so that you don't have that stark line right here unless you're going for a crease cut. So you want to, you know, kind of take that and just blend it. And that's kind of hard for me to do. Another tip too, the further away...
Would it be easier for me to do this?
No, you're fine. The further away you hold the brush, the better it is, because when you hold it really close, you're putting a lot of pressure on that product, and what you're going to do is move it in a way that you might cause the color to skip on your skin. So you don't want to do that. If you really want a really blown out look, you want to hold your brush fairly lightly and further away from the bevel here. Okay? So... And a good tool for blending too is to know that sometimes it's going to take you going back and forth with the colors, and that's fine. What you don't want to do is use the same brush for all colors, because what you're going to end up, especially if you're not wiping that brush off, because then you're going to end up with a color that eyeshadow that looks very muddy, and that's not the look nobody wants. This is my little eraser brush. It's like a big fat kind of looking paddle brush. And this is great towards the end when you do this, because it kind of brings your color down if you need to, and it kind of erases any mistakes if you went too harsh on the line here. Alright. Blend. Alright.
We are blended. You see that movie?
Blending.
We are blending.
Alright. And And that's basically how that look is going to go. If you go closer, she could do that line. But see how we kind of go from light to medium and then that dark color. And then we blend that dark color way up into this lighter color right there without any real harsh lines. Now, and again, like I said, if I wanted to blend that out, I can do this and just blend it out nice. I don't know. Blending brushes are really important to have just so that you can blend those colors out. And if you're going for really dark colors on your corners, you want to start off with nice little brushes so you can pack the color on that corner and really concentrate it if that's what you want. So we can go darker here, but we're just going out for dinner, so we're going to keep that kind of like that. Again, like I feel like on camera it's looking like this is really not blended, but in real life it's beautifully blended out, so I don't know if the camera's really picking that up. So there you go. Alright,
so my sister just did this eye right here, showing you how to blend colors in very naturally, what brushes you would use. It's one of the questions I get the most about is every time, you know, I talk to someone, they're like, I don't wear makeup. And then I see your pictures and I'm like, yeah, you do, right? And usually when they say I don't wear makeup, cuando dicen que no uso maquillaje, is always related to eyeshadow. And it's because we see these YouTubers making these glam looks, elaborate looks. And something simple with neutral colors, algo natural, neutral, how you could just blend it out and have a nice little look. So we decided to do a little tutorial on how to blend some nice colors, what brushes to use, so that way you can play and get used to it. Yes? All right. So she's thanking Damaris for su sabiduría, for her knowledge and sharing that with our audience with Inaru Boutique.